This is potentially extremely serious because there appears to be a significant volume of evidence, of documentary evidence, and people who are willing to testify. People who were imposed upon by either the president or those around him, and they seem like they're willing to talk, and they have been talking to the grand jury.
How long could it be before charges are laid, and could there be more people implicated other than Donald Trump?
There certainly could be others implicated. That would all be speculation now because we don't know what they're saying to the grand jury because it's secret. I would expect grand juries can move very quickly because they're effectively under the control of the prosecutor. It's really the prosecutor's show. There's nobody else there, just the grand jurors and the prosecutor and the witnesses.
So this is also an interesting case because part of the speculation has been that Donald Trump wants to be president again because he could pardon himself should he be convicted. But when it comes to state convictions, that poses something of a problem, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But again, we are in such uncharted territory. We haven't had in the United States former presidents in this kind of situation who intend to be president again. So there's a lot of speculation, but in my own view, I don't see any real possibility of him being president again.
Yes. He has also been warned in another case not to make provocative public remarks. Do you think this warning is going to deter him?
No. Nothing will deter him. He does whatever he feels like doing. And that was in the Washington case where there's a concern that he was making comments about jurors. And that's something you don't do. In fact, that's a separate crime. If you start threatening jurors or witnesses. And the judge in Washington made the point that she would try to speed things up if he started with that, though it's highly questionable if she actually could.
Yes. You know, Republicans have been claiming that the courts are being used against Donald Trump and not in any way against the Democrats. But it has been quite interesting to see a special counsel is now being appointed to oversee Hunter Biden's case. Now, this is, of course, the son of the president. What difference does a special counsel make?
It makes a significant difference in that there's been an accusation that the Attorney General's office has been weaponized against the Republicans. Special prosecutor is independent, and that would carry less weight. But quite honestly, there is a big difference between a former president and the offspring of a president. It's not all that unusual in the United States for siblings or offsprings of presidents to do things that are highly embarrassing or questionable to the president. The classic was Richard Nixon had a brother, the late Donald Nixon, and I believe Nixon even wiretapped Donald Nixon, but he was never criticized for that. The story was, if your brother was Donald Nixon, you might wiretap him too.
Yeah, so you're right. And I mean, even, Trump's son-in-law has been accused of sort of dubious business deals during his time in office. But let's look at David Weiss, who is the special counsel. He was a Trump appointment. How might that play into this case, do you think?
Well, I think it would certainly diffuse arguments that he's part of some Democratic cabal or conspiracy to get Donald Trump. So I think they've gone out of their way. and rightfully so, to bring in somebody who arguably doesn't carry any partisan baggage.
What do you think has changed from Hunter Biden having a plea deal just, a couple of weeks ago to now facing what could be a very extended case against him?
I think there's an awful lot we need to know about this whole thing. The plea deal, did not look right because some of the things involving firearms, maybe taxes, could be quite serious. And he was, quite honestly, getting off pretty lightly. And the judge caught it. I mean, that's a judge's job. And the judge said, this needs to be looked at. And rightfully so.
You know, to your point about how unprecedented all these issues are for the American political system, all these cases are going to be playing out in the middle of an election. It's quite extraordinary.
Yes, it is. But keep in mind, it becomes less extraordinary if Donald Trump is not the candidate. And he is a long way from becoming a candidate. And in fact, his popularity does not seem to be increasing. If anything, it's been decreasing. And if he is not the Republican nominee, he's effectively out of it.
Yeah.
And he may be out of it very quickly. We don't know.
Yes, because all you see in the polls is that he's way ahead, but in fact people haven't necessarily started to focus their minds yet on next year's election.
That's right. And it's a long ways off. I mean, the first primary in New Hampshire will be in 2024. Early 2024.
Yeah. Lots to still play out. Never-endingly fascinating, Harry. Great to talk. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Beth.